Good morning, everyone. Pivoting from problem to possibility. Well, I think that's what my integumentary system has been doing our entire existence in this country, is pivoting from giant problem to possibility. This piece is called Body by Time in America. And I guess it could be a triumph over epigenetics. 18s. I have been sneaking in dim light under a cloak of prayer, pretending to a God I do not recognize in a tongue I barely know. For so many sun cycles, I care not to count them any longer. I need to know what dwells in this body. What secrets are so powerful in this body, besides just this body, that they would compel the inhumane to thrice out a tongue to contain? I need to know more than that I was born into this. So, sneaking in dim light under a cloak of prayer, I learn Webster. Integumentary. Of or relating to an enveloping or external layer or covering of an organism, skin, body, wrapped in ebony and mahogany, bred and labeled buck, beaten, bloodied, and abused by breeders. My mama taught me how to survive by bowing, but my brain won't bend. The skin on my body is broken and bears scars and bruises that will become tragic ballads for bards to come. And in their tale of rhyme and rhythm, they will forsake reason and only dream to reconcile with the 3/5 compromisers and the breeders. But my epidermis has ceased to function, and so my children, whom I may not know, will brandish these scars before being born. I will pass them pain, and this place will pass them promises not meant for them. I pray their brains won't bend, but boy, is that there a book? Hey, Billy Bob, this one here trying to read more than the Bible. Well, I say it's time to learn him. Thud, thump, my brain busts, my nervous system ceases to signal 19s. My father tells me my great-grandfather was a slave he never knew. Tells me his father was too. Well, tells me he knew him for the first nickel spell above dirt, but then he left to go fight the Great Freedom War. Tells me we came north so we didn't have to be a slave again anymore. Tells me he was too old and I was too young for a chain gang, so we had to go. Apparently the heart of the American South was just one big old circulatory system, and that old heart just keeps pumping hateful blood toward us, toxified by melanin in our integumentary system. Some days I feel like that blood was transfused right out of old Jim's veins and right into my daddy's and then right on into me, because I be so angry sometimes I see red. But my pa would say, we all just born that way in my family. Say Everett Jefferson, from as far back as we can trace, which is really just my granddaddy, been ornery for no good reason. Well, according to the good white folk and my mama. Say we all, my brother, me, my pa, come into the world just a screaming and hollering like we was mad to be born. I figured we was just born hungry. Now here I am, a grown man, trying to understand why my capillaries, valves, and veins and arteries are always boiling, and my brain can't seem to stop my face from frowning and twisting, and my mouth from misfiring. That ain't good for my health when Mr. Charlie Man come around my way with his beating stick and his sidearm, especially after a long day in the factory working twice as long as Whitey, getting paid half as much, and then the boss man taking a quarter of that for the Negro, you just better be happy you employed, tax. My nervous system can't take much more, and I'm just hoping my sweets is done mopping them folks' floors when she get home. But, oh, damn, here come that man. Boy, where you get that meat and bread? You stole it, huh? Look, Mr. Man, I ain't stole nothing. I bought this with my factory check. Boy, you getting lippy with me? No, Mr. Man. Thud, thump, pop. My heart stops. Aortic valve invaded by lead. Oxygen no longer getting to head. My brain busts, and my nervous system ceases to signal. Still 19s. I watched my mama wrinkle and wither. Hands like brown corduroy pants that had seen too many washes and too many dries. They say black don't crack, but grief and despair does carve. She did the best she could after they took Daddy. She made sure I went to school and never missed a day. Illness was no reason to miss church or study, and there was no compromise. Getting sick was just God testing my toughness and giving my lymphocytes something to do in her eyes. I was going to go to college. I had to get the highest scores, and the whooping stick was going to make sure. See, factory meat and American apple pie wouldn't be good enough for the Jeffersons anymore. My sister and I cared for Mama long as we could once I returned home from the war, but eventually her mourning shut down her own immune system. I think she had just given up. Felt like she had delayed in getting home to Pops long enough. She waved the white blood cell flag. And after we buried Ma, I moved the family to Minnesota. I heard there was good job opportunities for educated Negroes in St. Paul. Caught the bus up there in early fall. Thought a man of my background, an educated war veteran, would find employment in good order. But after months of, we don't hire coloreds. After months of, we don't hire coloreds. And more months of, we don't hire coloreds. Sorry, we don't hire coloreds. Sorry, we don't hire coloreds. Sorry, we don't hire coloreds. I finally caught on as a Pullman porter. My ma had warned me about the Jefferson rage, for she feared I'd end up like my pops, but no one had warned me about being an educated war veteran Negro working as a porter in Minnesota when the temperature drops. Trying to feed a family I was never home to see. Every day scraping together thinking, what good has this education done for me? A Negro in the land of the free, in the North no less, where America's supposed to show colored folk is best. My old lady following my mother's footsteps, cleaning white folks' houses, taking care of their kids. This bottle of hooch and this here stoop ought to have something to give, so bottoms up. Whoa! Yeah! Woo! Oh, say, can you see? America, America. Hey, officer. How you doing, Mr. Charlie? What you mean I'm singing to? I can sing as loud as, boy, I fought for this country. I can sing it loud. Larynx constricted, windpipe, corridor closed, lungs depleted. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't. My brain busts. My nervous system ceases to signal. 20s. There is much to consider when responding to a post on a coworker's Facebook page. My father would tell me, son, you got to learn to keep Shaka in the box. Keep your lock on that Zulu ready to bust out the cage. Your relative consciousness means if you want to stay employed, you've got to learn to control that Jefferson rage. So let me light some sage, smudge myself. And before I reply, pray to a God that ain't never really seemed to ever help. Okay, Jim, before you ask stupid, no. Jim, asking the question, when are black people gonna stop using slavery as an excuse, shows you are so No, delete. Jim, are you aware that for generations after slavery, black Americans have been beaten, incarcerated, left out of systems of housing, economics, education, and occupation? Jim, are you aware that we've been subjugated by law enforcement in communities we were herded into by government policies, targeted for chemical warfare, and more? Jim's response, but white America made up for that when we elected Obama. And you people's biggest problem is black on black crime. Maybe your communities would be better if you stopped standing in the middle of the freeways protesting against police just trying to do their job, and you march against the violence you do to each other in your own communities. Woo! I'm not gonna lose my job today. I'm not gonna lose my job today. I am not gonna lose my job today. But how do I explain to Jim our lineage is trauma, that I can't wholeheartedly celebrate your diversity and inclusion until my celebration includes truth? Truth that my DNA carries in 1800s overseers blunt force trauma. Truth that my DNA carries in 1900s police officers racial stereotype trauma. Truth that my DNA carries in 1900s educated, depressed, denied, and oppressed police officers chokehold trauma. Truth that my DNA carries in 80s chemical warfare, 90s Clinton crime bill, 2000s children feeling like they have nothing to live for trauma. How do I tell Jim that while he may inherit a cabin on a lake in a trust fund, I inherited high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, heart disease, depression, a funeral bill, and generational anger? I am living the American dream, and in spite of it all, it's still a nightmare. Me getting to work with Jim was Dr. King's dream, and it's still my nightmare. Tonight, I will log off. Tomorrow, I'll go to work. I will put on Paul Laurence Dunbar's mask, and I will not make my feeling of illness visible. I will protect my health and my well-being. Black is beautiful is all that will reflect on this body. I will bust my brain, but I will not shake nor tremble. Nope. My nervous system will cease to signal. Bodied by Time in America. Thank you. Let's have an amazing conference, pivoting from problem to possibility.
Frank Sentwali, everyone. Thank you, Frank. I feel like we need a moment to take that in, or probably more. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mark Haase. I'm a board member of the Minnesota Justice Research Center. On behalf of my fellow board members, welcome to our 6th annual Reimagining Justice Conference. The mission, I want to make sure I get it right. The mission of the Minnesota Justice Research Center is through research, education, and policy development, we help our community create a criminal legal system that advances justice and safety for all. And just a quick thought on the mission. One part of this that I like the most is that the part that says we help our community create. When we first started doing this conference, there were about 3 of us around somebody's kitchen table, putting together all the panels and all the speakers, and it felt great to create that, and we thought we had a great product, and it was pretty good. But a couple years ago, we switched that to what a lot of other conferences I've seen do this, having people submit proposals for presentations, and that's what you're going to see today. And that really is how the Justice Research Center wants to do our work, with community, as part of community. We know that to do this work, we need research, we need education, we need policy development. So our goal is to provide those tools to our community. We all know that our society is as separated as it's ever been today. So this work is more important than ever. I think it's more difficult. I don't think we have all the community in this room that we want to have. I know that we don't. So I just ask that you challenge us to continue to pull our community together to do this work. There may be people that you're uncomfortable in a room with, honestly, but if we don't come together to do some of this work and find our common values and base it on what's truly going to make our communities safer and more just, then we're going to be stuck in the same problems that we've always been. So let's move to those possibilities by coming together. Just quickly, I also want to thank our key staff that worked on this conference. I know a lot of people have, but the 2 that have done the most work is our Associate Director, Kara Latovsky, who's way back there, and our Director of Engagement, Kayla Richards. And Kayla. With that, I'm going to turn it over to the man with the vision, our Executive Director, Justin Terrell.
Good morning. Let's try that again. I got somebody 2 brothers who I deeply respect coming to the mic, and y'all got to give them some energy. Good morning. That's a little bit better. Now let me ask you another question. Are you ready to engage in one of the livest, most necessary conversations on justice in the country today? I like that. Some people are clapping. That's what's up. Because this conversation requires commitment. Are you committed? I mean, you got here some of y'all was here before I was here this morning. I ain't gonna lie. And so I just want to thank you for showing up, because when you think about what we've been through in this state and what we got coming our way, we're going to need to keep showing up. Amen? All right. So let me take care of a little bit of business here. Thank you to Frank Sentwali. Thank you, Mark Haase, our board member. I want to acknowledge, if we could just do a quick round of applause for all the board members and key partners in the room today. Thank you to Thomson Reuters, who is our founding sponsor, the Minnesota Department of Corrections, the University of Minnesota Masters of Human Rights. Do we got some students in the house today? Students, y'all? Did y'all show? No students, huh? Okay, wait. All right, there we go. The Minnesota Humanities Center, who connected us with Frank Sentwali, the Minnesota Department of Human Rights, who continues to advocate for the best consent decree in the country that's focused on race-based policing. All Square, the Wilder Research Compass, Accenture. Did you guys make it? Where's Cynthia? Are you here? Did you make it? All right. We have some interesting folks displaying at the tables behind us. And then the African American Leadership Forum, Minutemen Press, who's donated all the print materials today, or gave us a discount, I believe. Let's see, Polad, Lathrop GPM, who continues to support Tom Johnson's legacy, St. Paul Bigelow, and the Difference Principle. All right. We have their logos on a billboard somewhere, so shout out to folks who help us make this conference possible. I also want to just thank North Star Events. Shout out to Jermaine and Shauna, and thank you. I want to thank the McNamara Alumni Center, Tamika, who's taking photos today, Dr. G, Dr. Williams, who are going to lead a great conversation in just a minute, and all of our volunteers and interns, in-house AV, and Mark Osler in our closing plenary. Whew, man. Let's be clear, it takes a lot of people to make this happen. When you look at what we've been through in this state over the past few years, it's taken a lot of people to make this work happen. And so it's not my favorite thing to sit up here and read from my phone and whatnot, but I want to make sure we get it right, because I am so thankful for all of you. Thank you. Please give yourself one more round of applause.